We are learning Nefesh HaChaim, Shaar Daled, Perek Chaf Aleph, 21. And moving right along, it's Hashem, there's only about 30 prakim here, 34, 33, 34. So we're moving right along. Perek Chaf Aleph, in particular, ends a bit of a series, because what we were talking about in the last few prakim is what are the benefits of learning Torah Lishma. And just let me review with you for 1 second. In Perek Yud Ches, so the Nefesh HaChaim told us that if you learn Torah Lishma, you're part of the Malchus Hashem, meaning you've brought the Torah down into a place where it's permeating the earth. And therefore, said the Nefesh HaChaim, Man Malchei Rabbanon, that if somebody learns Torah Lishma, you become Malchus, in the sense that Malchus is the lowest sphera, and where in doing the Ratzon Hashem, and that's you brought that Torah all the way down to earth, and the Talmud Chacham learns Torah Lishma does that. In Perek Yud Tes, we said that the Talmud Chacham learns Torah Lishma becomes part of the Shem Hashem, which we spent a lot of time on, and that means that your Torah becomes a very expression, a bitui, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A Shem, as we spent a lot of time learning, a name like my name, your name, Hashem's name, expresses and articulates a certain midah. So the Talmud Chacham learns Torah, like even say a Chiddush, the Torah becomes Yisrael V'Araisa V'Kudsha B'Richu, so the Torah itself becomes part of the Shem Hashem, the Gilui of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In Perek Chav, that we learned last week, we learned that the Talmud Chacham is part of the Chachmas Hashem, and I spent a lot of time explaining that Das Torah is not a new concept, it's just a new word. It's something that's been going on since Moshe Rabbeinu. And that is that there's an appreciation of the fact that somebody who's learning Torah Lishma, and a tzaddik who's learning Torah Lishma, has a different access to Chachma, and his Chachma is Chachmas Hashem and Chachmas HaTorah. So, everybody has their Chachma. If you're an engineer, you see a certain Chachma. If you're a scientist, you see a certain Chachma. And nobody's mevatel that Chachma. But the Chachmas HaTorah is not even above that. It's a different thing. It's Hashem's Chachma, which is coming through this person. So it's a Gilui, but your Chachma becomes Chachma. And here in Perek Chaf Aleph, we're learning today, we're talking about life. And ironically, we're talking about life after life, or death. So, because what the Nefesh HaChaim is speaking about here is like the essence of life, the Talmud Chacham's Torah Lishma, the essence of life, and life lived correctly, to put the whole parak into one sentence, goes on and on and on for eternity. Your neshama is here in this body for X amount of years, unknown. There's just mimutza, but it's unknown. And but the neshama goes on and on. So what's accomplished here in this world in terms of neshama, in terms of Torah Lishma, goes on and on and on. So that's the and then with the end of Perek Chaf Aleph, we've ended this series, if you will, of the benefits of learning Torah Lishma. So here, let's go carefully here. Perek Chaf Aleph, everybody with me? Perek Chaf Aleph. Says the Nefesh HaChaim, Im kol kach nifla madrigasam shalom le'Torah. Now that we've gotten Perek Yud Ches, Perek Yud Tes, Perek Chaf, it's the Chazon Nifla. What happens when you learn Torah Lishma? Your mind becomes the mind of Hashem. You're part of the Malchus of Hashem. Your Shem becomes the Shem HaKodesh. Now that we figured all that out for Olam Hazeh, Gam Ba'oidam, and that's all talking about Ba'oidam Bezeh HaOlam HaChoshuch. That's living in this world, which is a lot of darkness in this world. Lahasig ulistakel baruch kachem bar elyon, and to put it all these last three prakim into one sentence, one expression, that while you're in this world, learn Torah Lishma, you're able to grasp and to see with Ruach HaKodesh, Ba'or Elyon, in the upper light. That means, we explained about it, there's the Or Haganus, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created at the first day of creation, first of the Asar Mamaris, by Erev Vayiboker, right, by Hiar, before he created day and night. And that Or Haganus is the Or which, last week I used a contemporary term, which might be true. We're not talking about light, we're talking about enlightenment. That the lichtigkeit and the clarity to be able to see a true picture. So that's Ruach HaKodesh, Listakel Baruch Kachem Ba'ar Elyon. If all of that can be accomplished while we're alive, you can actually talk to a tzaddik who's loy Torah lishma and get the benefit of God's chachma, of God's shame, of the Malchus Hashem, of Malchus. So Gedolim Tzadikim, here's the Kal V'Chomer, Gedolim Tzadikim b'misasam yaiser b'chayim, zok the Gemara in Chulin. The fact is that a tzaddik is even bigger b'misasam than b'chayim. L'ein aroich. There's not even a comparison. Achar asher nishmasei hatahira. So now that his neshama, pure neshama, Rabba Savala Torah mitzvahs, has satiated and absorbed, has been satiated and absorbed Torah mitzvahs, V'hi shava el beis avia, and now this neshama returns to where it came from, Mikudasha u'mitayhara kasher nitna, in the same way, same type of purity and holiness that it was given with, u'bi yisrein or haTorah, with the added value of Or HaTorah that was accomplished only in this world. Talmudai biyadai, and he's coming to Shemayim, Talmudai biyadai, kol hanishtarim niftachim lefanav, all the gates are open. V'solak uvarka rakian, he breaks through all of the rakian. B'tzor b'tzorachayim as Hashem alikav yisbarach Shemai. Rakia, by the way, just a footnote, Rakia, we talked about this a few weeks ago, like how to translate Rakia. But in actual Lashon HaKodesh, Rakian means separations. V'roka, says in Tanakh, v'roka, when you split something apart. Right, you do it by a carbon. Rikuyin. So the Rakia is actual separation between Aretz and Shemayim, and between Shemayim, Ushmei Shemayim, etc. Which Agav Urche, on the second day of the creation, where Hashem created the Rakia, it doesn't say Kitov, Vayar Hashem Kitov. It says on Tuesday, it says it twice, Kitov, Kitov. But it doesn't say it on Monday, and the reason it doesn't say it on Monday on the second day of creation is because that was the day Hashem created Rakia, separation. And separation is not just between the Shemayim and the Aretz, which is bad enough, but it's also Machlokes. So Hashem created all of that Machlokes, Rakia, on Monday. So it couldn't say Kitov on this, but rather on Tuesday it said a Kitov twice to make up for the one that it doesn't say on Monday. So this guy here, who's Loy Torah Lishma, when he gets to the Shemayim, is talking about afterlife. Kol ha'sha'arim niftachen lefanav. You can go every derech you want. Uvaka rakim, and you bust apart the rakiyas. No more separations. Uvitzarur b'tzorachayim as Hashem elikav yisbarach shmai. Now, I don't know if you were like listening to this b'diuk, but there's a lot of diukim here. There's a lot to learn from this. The main point, though, is that we come into the world, there's nothing as pure as a little baby that's born. If you were zocha to hold a little baby in your hands when it was born, not only did it never speak Lashon Hara, not only did it ever do an Avera, but it didn't go through the winds of the world and the different politics of the world. You're holding a bag of purity in your hand. So that's a baby. When a person leaves this world, I know I used to be a member of the Chaver Kadisha, and it was often said that, a person leaves this world, looks like a baby. because it's the same purity when you leave the world as when you come in the world. Like all the Mishigasim are gone at that moment. But the thing is like this, what the Nefesh HaChaim is saying is that you don't go out the same way that you came in. Because you come in with this purity of a baby, but you don't leave with the purity of the baby. You leave with the purity of a person that went through life, and went through Torah, and went through mitzvahs, and went through making correct decisions when it was difficult on a regular basis, which is the essence of Bechira Chavshus, just being able to make correct decisions. And now this person is leaving the world. He's not a baby. He's a baby plus life, unless he messed it up. The baby plus life, and that person is going in. It's a whole different added value that life gave him, and that's what he's talking about over here. The Loimei Torah Lishma has added onto his life in a way that it lives for eternity. Does everyone understand the chiddush of this? It's not just like you got to learn Torah and mitzvahs. This is what you're supposed to do when you're alive. You're adding value to the soul. It's different when you go out than you do when you come in, providing you used your life correctly. I just want to be Matzai and maybe help some shot. Is the absolutely amazing Gemara in Eruvin Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, and there the Gemara says, you'll help me understand this. Yud Beis Shanim Umechsa, Beis Shanim Umechsa, I apologize, for 2.5 years. Nechluku Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai had a machlokes for 2.5 year machlokes. 2.5 years, not 3 years, not 2 years. 2.5 years machlokes. If noach lo la'adam shenivra, or noach lo la'adam shalai nivra, would it be better off for a person to be born? Are we better off being born, or would we have been better off not being born altogether? I'm trying to imagine a machlokes which takes 2.5 years amongst the Gedolei Hador, Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai, with pilpulim and with all kinds of rayas and life experiences. And what are they arguing about? Whether it's good we were born, whether it was bad we were born. Like, yeah, can you imagine the situation? What exactly happened at 2.5 years when all of a sudden the issue got solved? And by the way, it doesn't say there clearly who said what, whether Hillel said this and Shammai said that or the other way around. It doesn't say. Nechluku Talmidei Beis Hillel, Nechluku Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. I don't believe it says who held what. They just argued about it. But the maskana of the Gemara is that Noach Leila Adam Shalai Nivra, that we would have been better off not being created. Well, it's kind of depressing. Which the Mefarshim take on was Beis Shammai. V'achshav shenivra, but now that you're created, Yasek b'Torah, Yifashe shemaisa v'Yasek b'Torah v'Maisim Torah. So, what are they arguing about? What's the Nekudas HaMachlokes? What do you say, Yoni? What's the Nekuda here?
I don't have any words. I'm trying, it's
Pella, right? Pella de Machlokes, yeah.
I mean, it's really Pella de Machlokes. I mean, full stop. But because there's sort of handling in God's decision making. So if we acknowledge that God created and destroyed the world more than once, which at a minimum in the Chumash he did that at least once, but maybe many times. Maybe the machlokes is why ultimately, why did God finally decide not to destroy the world a final time?
Look what.
If you look at it from a modern perspective, it could be, life is tough. There's a lot of tsar. Is it worth all the tsar to come down and either say tsar against the you know, whatever.
You're breaking up for me, Jonathan, but I'm trying to understand why you're calling that a modern perspective.
Because like Dan just said, is, you know, you're looking from a Kadosh Baruch Hu's point of view, like should people be here? Are we worth putting in the world? You know, is the human achievement in Avodas Hashem worth, you know, sending down for all the mess ups we do? From a human perspective, it's from our point of view. When you make the cheshbon of, you know, our tsar and our tanug or our sar, how does it?
So the shilos is a worth
line up? That's why I'm saying.
Right.
So is this from Hashem's point of view? Is this from a human point of view and
from God's point of view?
Yeah.
What do you say, Efraim?
Well, I was going to say I hesitate to use a phrase that is from a purely non-Jewish perspective. The phrase of paradise lost, John Milton. When we are born, we're born with a sense of purity, which is unrivaled. But in the course of our lifetime, we have to deal with the ups and downs of life, and no one is free of Aveirah. So when we leave this life, we lose that highest level of purity. So Noach Lanu, not to be born, would mean that I maintain that highest level of purity.
Right.
And from here onward, it's only downhill.
But what you're saying is exactly what the Nefesh HaChaim is coming to say. No, that you come into the world with a high level of purity, but you leave with a high level of purity and Torah. So let me just say this, and Torah. So in other words, there's value added here, which the Nefesh HaChaim and the Torah is telling us about. But let me just explain something in my words for a moment. And that is that you know, the Mefarshim ask, what's the question here? Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai, Noach Leil Adam, to be created, not to be created. Hashem made the world, and after he made the whole thing, including Adam, he says in the Torah Mefurish, Vayar Hashem ki tov moed. Sagut tezach. So Vayar Hashem ki tov moed. Now we have Machlekes Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai. Not so good. Not so geschmack. Yeah, geschmack, not geschmack. And we paskin, by the way, that it's not worth it. It's not good. It's not good. So what was Chazal going against the Chumash? So let me just show you something that I don't know if you noticed. The machlokes in the Gemara is not whether it's toiv la'adam to be created or not loy toiv la'adam. What's the word of the Gemara? Noach. A whole different idea. It means like good. It's good. Hashem did it. It's good. You know, what's the Hashem created the world? It's good. It's the Ratzon Hashem. The question is if it's Noach. Noach means oipse bakvemt. And, you know, is it something which is comfortable for me? You know, so look, you know, Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai are arguing for 2.5 years whether they're comfortable or not comfortable.
See, so now I really don't understand the machlokes because Pashut, what do you mean? Who would ever say comfortable? Because right. That doesn't even start.
So, you know, it's interesting that, you know, some people are Noach with the challenge day by day, and some people are uncomfortable taking any kind of risk. Isn't that true? Like some people live for a risk, and some people can't stand the risk. Get me out of here. So it's probably if you look through Beis Shammai throughout, if we can make some kind of Lashitasam here, that Beis Shammai said, look, you know, yes, you're going to go out of the world. Nobody argued with the Torah. Yes, you're going to go out of the world in a better shape than you came in, but there's a risk. There's Ephraim. There's a risk that you might come out worse than you came in. What happens then? So I'm uncomfortable, as many people would use in even our jargon. I'm uncomfortable with that risk. Okay, Hashem created it. We don't have a choice. So achshav shenivra yifashresh v'maisa v'yasik b'tayr ma'isam tayvim. That's what we have to do. Like we're forced into this risk situation. What are you going to do? But what Beis Hillel is somehow saying, just 1 second, but Beis Hillel is somehow saying that, no pain, no gain. Like the whole story of Olam Haza, I'm very comfortable with risks. And I'm not talking about like two different investment strategies. I'm talking about two different life strategies. In other words, are we going to, this is what Hillel says, are we going to take advantage, take a risk and take advantage and plunge ahead and ahead and ahead and get someplace where I would never get by just being born and skipping this world? Or am I going to say, look, conservative? So I don't mean to reduce Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai to Wall Street, but I am saying that it's a very interesting. I feel I'm not sure that this is completely thought out, but I do feel that, like for instance, there's a machlokes Hillel and Shammai, Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, whether Beis Shammai says, the Gemara says that whenever he found a nice piece of chicken or a nice goat or something, he put it away for Shabbos. And then he found another piece. He said, okay, I'll eat that one during the week and I'll eat this on Shabbos. And did that all week long. And then on Shabbos, he had his best thing. The Gemara, Abul Hillel, Mida Acheres Haisabai, he had a different attitude. His attitude was, Hashem gave me chicken today, I'm going to eat it today. Hashem gave me this goat today, I'm going to eat it today. What about Shabbos? Shabbos, Hashem will help. He'll give me food for Shabbos. So what's Shabbos is Shabbos, and Shabbos is Olam Haba, and Shabbos is sorry. And Shabbos is also Yemos HaMashiach. Excuse me. So there's a Yom Shekula Shabbos U'Menucha L'Chayei Lamim. So what Beis Shammai was saying was, look, whatever you're doing in this world, put it away for Shabbos. like let's get out of here as fast as possible. let's do it. Let's get through the week. Let's find the best piece of steak, and let's save it for Shabbos. And Shabbos is the day we live, and Olam Haba is the time that we're meant to be in. And Olam Hazeh Doimel Leproiz there, like Rabbi Yaakov said in Pirkei Avos, and took on the Shita of Beis Shammai here, that Olam Hazeh Doimel Leproiz there, Haskin Atzl Leproiz there, Kadesh Yuchel L'Traklin already. Let's get into the main thing. Hillel was saying, look at his lashon. Yoim Yamas Lanu. Like I'm not just looking at Olam Haba. I'm looking. Okay, Olam Haba will be, Shabbos will be, Yemos HaMashiach will be, but right now it's Monday, and being that it's Monday, I'm l'chatchila in the Monday. I'm going to take it. I'm going to make the best Monday as I can make. So you have a very similar machlokes in my notes 8-9 times between Hillel and Shammai as to a little bit of risk factor, or more deeply, are we doing this only to get through it, or are we doing this to be here right now? How do you view life? So that's about machlokes, but I don't think anybody will say that it's better to not have been created, or what did Hashem create the world for? So the answer is that it doesn't say Toiv, it says Noah. We're talking about Beis Shammai is walking around, and they're arguing. It's such an interesting argument. They're arguing about this for 2.5 years. If somebody's talking, I don't hear you. Anybody want to guess what happened after 2.5 years that solved the argument? Somebody there? 2.5 years. So we history, February 17th. All of a sudden, okay, solve the argument. What could have possibly happened after 2.5, not 3 years, not Rosh Hashanah, not Yom Kippur, 2.5 years? The argument was solved. So this I heard as a child. I don't know who I'm quoting, but that on the same Amud Gemara of Erev and Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, the Gemara Paskins, the Gemara says the Yotza Baskol, the Amra Halacha Kebeis Hillel. So all the arguments stopped. Meaning, like, in other words, they were having a major attitudinal argument as to how to live your life. So whether
Beis Hillel Rebbe or Beis Shammai? You said like Beis Hillel, but then we said earlier.
So everybody
Shammai.
agreed. Here's what's interesting here. Machlokes stopped. Baskel came. The Machlokes stopped. The Baskel said the halacha is like Beis Hillel. But that's Min HaShamayim. Min HaShamayim, halacha is like Beis Hillel. Of course, live in your life. The maskana of the Gemara is, but we're living here and it's uncomfortable. What are you telling me? It's comfortable when it's uncomfortable. This is not for a Baskel. Is it Noach or not Noach? Which is the biggest chiddush of what I'm saying is that it says Noach. Menucha I don't have. Look at, by the way, that the whole Shabbos is about Shabbos Yom Menucha. Noach. It's all the same thing. So are you living for the day or are you living for Olam Haba? So the machlokes stopped after 2.5 years, but the attitude, the cautiousness, the risk factor remained. So Beis Shammai, what the Gemara says is, listen to this, Avram, be very, very careful here. What the Gemara says is, okay, comfortable I'm not, but we're created. And now that we're created, if you're feeling uncomfortable, because at least go for the toiv. So what the psak min hashamayim was that, look, toiv, it's a good thing, but I still have to.
What's the halacha though? What's the halacha? There's
no din. What's the din? Mimanav shach. That's exactly what the Gemara says. Mimanav shach, yasik b'tayir mitzvos lishma. That's the halacha. Whether you're Noach or not Noach, we're not giving you it. You don't get to make that decision, right? Like that's the so it comes out once there was a baskel, there's no halachic nafkamina. But I think that the halacha nafkamina is that we don't do like Beis Shammai, for instance, and keep everything for Shabbos.
But would there be any halachic?
Like the attitude doesn't come out in any halacha because the baskel said like Beis Hillel. So,
well, would there have been any potential nafkaminas anyway? I mean, what would be a nafkamina of this is more a kind of attitude towards avodas Hashem, and it's even a hypothetical question because we're here.
I'm telling you a nafkamina. The nafkamina is like, how do you prepare for Shabbos? there's how do you? The nafkamina is in your level of indulging. The nafkamina is like this, in not in halacha but in life. You could have a shita of asceticism, and you could have a shita of indulgence l'shem shamayim. So asceticism means that, look, it's a big b'diavad that I'm here. I'm very uncomfortable on Olam Haza because it's like a battlefield over here, like a minefield, the amount of choices that we have to make every minute and how easy it is to choose wrong. So I'm going to be as ascetic as possible and stay away from any kind of gashmias or any kind of indulgence of Olam Haza because it's all dangerous ground. I don't want, it's dangerous, risky. I'm not going to buy those kind of stocks. Or am I living a life where, no, this is where I want to be. I'm not staying away from Olam Haza. I was put in Olam Haza. I wasn't put in Olam Haza to stay away from Olam Haza. So comes Beis Hillel, and the Gemara says Beis Hillel that he would stop his Shiur. Hillel himself would stop his Shiur and say, he's Talmidim, I have to stop the Shiur because I have to go take care of a guest. The Gemara says, I have a guest I have to take care of. And every day he would say this. So how many guests does Hillel have? And they followed him home and they saw that the Rebbe is eating lunch. They said, you said you have to take care of a guest. So he says, my neshama is a guest in my body. I have to take care of the guest. What he's saying is that, like, life is life. I have to live a normal life, and I have to take care of what Hashem gave me, and I have to even enjoy it. And yom yamas lanu. That's what Hillel said.
So is it? Sorry, Rabbi, can I extrapolate? I mean, my own way. That maybe that's also the root of the machlokes in between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. That Beis Shammai appears to be a little bit more machmir in a lot of cases because they don't want to take the risk. They want to put a fence around whatever's there. Whereas Beis Hillel is saying, no, yeah, we have to be risk takers, and we can do it.
Right. I tell you, just to add one little piece to this, which I'm not sure is, but the Arizal brings from Kadmonim that halacha kebeis Hillel is until Mashiach comes. After Mashiach comes, halacha kebeis Shammai. Yes, you ever heard that? And the reason, I mean, the logic of it is that Baskol said halacha kebeis Hillel, but Baskol is only like screaming downwards into this world. But Beis Shammai had, in a way, a better emes. So when Mashiach comes, halacha kebeis Shammai. So let's get the wheels turning. Like, how does that fit into what we're learning here? Machlokes Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai. Okay, Beis Hillel says Yom 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 Aslanu, and Beis Shammai says I don't want to take a chance. I'd rather not take a chance at it. But is that a stira? Help me out here, Dan. Is that a stira?
I have a thought. The human nature in now and when Mashiach comes could be on different levels. So right now we're not on the level that we will be. Beis Shammai is chadadin ninu. So there's a certain mila that basically we can't relate to as a klal now, but that we'll be able to chop it later on. And benogea to the whole shaila of Noach or lo Noach, it could be a parallel because the question is, they could be asking, certainly from the neshama's point of view, there's one perspective, and from the perspective of Adam, who's already nivra, there could be another perspective. In other words, the goof, the mundane side of a person, could could prefer not to have to deal with all the ruchnias, or he could, or a person could could be on a level where he will be a mila. So that level would be in olam, in Imosa Mashiach. Then a person, even the goof, would be happy to be nivra, but now not.
I got the drift. Yisachar, you look like you want to say something. What? Okay, so let me touch it up. That right now, as we live in life, there's sort of a tension between the world as we live it and the world of the neshama. There's a tension between the guf and the neshama. Sometimes a stira between the guf and neshama. But la'asid lavai, there's no stira between the guf and the neshama. It's all pshita. So Mamela is not the pshat that halacha kebeis Shammai. There's no longer any at least in Noach lo Adam shlei nivra. There's no longer any stira. There's no risk anymore. You're done. Risk factor's done. Now go enjoy your retirement. That the game is over. And once the game is over, there's Hillel could say, look, we don't have to worry about living life to its fullest and not worry about all these chumras. The chumras become part of life. So halacha kebeis Shammai. It's fine. It's fine. I don't have that tension any longer. So as long as I have a tension, Hillel says, Yom 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 Aslanu. But berega that the tension is gone, Mashiach comes, Olam haba. The minute the tension is gone, I have no problem with the halachas of Beis Shammai because it's not taking away my zest in life any longer. And Beis Shammai says, I'm now, Mashiach came, Noach, I'm perfectly comfortable. I'm perfectly comfortable because the risk is behind us. So what really happens is that there's all the machlekes Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai ends b'Yemois HaMashiach, but Hillel can become more midas hadin, to use the language of the Mekubalim. That's what's going to happen. It's more midas hadin, but din is okay. Meaning, like right now, we're afraid of din. But if the din is a din toiv and it's a din yasher and it's a din tzedek, and so din is okay too. So Hillel's good with Shammai and Shammai's good with Hillel.
So I have a question. Is the Hillel approach saying that, okay, I have to kind of keep the goof happy because of the tension, and this derech will keep the goof happy and allow me to do my avodas Hashem? Or are we saying Hillel's approach is to be Mekadesh, the world is the derech until we get to Olam Haba? Which one of those two are we saying?
I believe that, I don't know if I can paskin that profound question, but I believe that it's the first. Meaning, like, not, you're here in this world, use the world, enjoy the world, be happy in the world, and don't, and alleviate the tension. Meaning, there's two kinds of tension. There's one stress is, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall into a bad place. And another stress is, Hillel says, that's one stress. So you can be an ascetic and stay away from everything. Or you can say, listen, I'm part of this world, enjoy it, make meya brachas b'chol yom. And you know, then Shemaim, they're going to ask me, why didn't I see the Alps and all that? You know, I created it. Why don't you go look at it? You know, so it's a different attitude of life, but it comes out that life as we know it unto itself is okay. So that's the question in the Gemara. You know, I just want to say one thing, which is just really al atzad, and then we have to wind down here and get back to Nefesh HaChaim. But you know, it's all about, in my humble life opinion, it's all about making good decisions. Yes. So you know, like take an example of chinuch. So what, you know, if you had to Rabbi Yaacov Haber v'hamidon alachas, like what is chinuch? What is chinuch? So okay, get your kid to where tzitzis, you know, get him to learn Torah, get him to give tzedakah, teach him to be honest. There's only one nekuda of chinuch. We're given a child, only one nekuda. Teach that child to make good choices in life. That's it. It's all nekudas habechira. You want to choose between healthy food and unhealthy food? Let me teach you how to make a good choice. Let me teach you that the everlasting is more important than the present. Let me teach you that hurting somebody else's feelings is a bad thing. But it's all teaching ourselves, the chinuch of ourselves, and the chinuch of our children or our talmidim. It's all one thing. It's all one thing. Maturity is the person who learns and teaches himself or herself to make the correct decisions in life. Make those decisions, hakol b'seder. So, you know, I find that, you know, like, you know, there's like parenting courses are very good. Like, you know, should I let my baby cry in the crib? Should I not let my baby cry in the crib? It's okay. You know, that's, you can read Dr. Spock, but that's not, parenting is not chinuch. That's just techniques and how to get, you know, how to make your house look nice. But chinuch, the word chinuch has to do with good choices. And insofar as we taught our children how to make good choices, we've been yotze the mitzvah of chinuch. And if we didn't teach them to make good choices, but we taught them everything else, we did not give them good chinuch. And in terms of our growth, it's the same thing. So why am I saying this? First of all, because I want to say it. But second of all, if you look at life, so life is full of choices. Every minute, there's a choice. When you decided, I'm sure every single time I decide to get up in the morning and go to shul, which is Baruch Hashem, 99% of the time, that's a choice. And it's often a hard choice. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get up now. I'm not going to, you know. When I decide what to eat, both from a kashrus point of view and from a health point of view, that's a choice. And we try to make these good choices. Life is full of choices. Now, there's some people will say, get me out of here. Like, don't give me choices. Just tell me what to do, and I'm doing it. The Beis Hillel is saying, embrace those choices. That's the whole thing. That's the whole geschmack. I think the Kutzker said, I believe it's the Kutzker. He said that afilu der Welt sagt, es ist schwer zu sein a Yid. Even though everyone says it's difficult to be a Jew, aber es ist so geschmack. Afilu der Welt sagt, es ist schwer zu sein a Yid, aber es ist so geschmack. Like the choices are it's the whole thing. So is it chinuch? Let's say, I'm asking, and I know I'm being a bit of a maverick here, maybe even a radical. Is it chinuch to put your family in a situation where no choices ever have to be made? Robots. Is this geschmack? Is it nice? Is it helpful? Does it do anything for the neshama? I realize what I'm saying. I'm just saying this as something to think about. Are we doing anything for the Shabbat? Now, I'm not saying that, you have to put every morning before your kid for breakfast, you have to put a cup of poison and a cup of orange juice or a cup of treif or a plate full of treif full of kosher, make choices. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that what life is for, what chinuch is about, what we're about is making the right choices. So to get back to the Nefesh HaChaim, the way we come in is no choices are made. Nobody's asking me when I'm eating breakfast. Nobody's asking me, what temperature, what the heat should be on in my house. But there's no choices have to be made. But if I can go through life and mature through life and learn how to make choices, not only will I make the right choices, but I'm teaching everybody around me to make good choices. And I want to tell you something. If people come to ask an eitzah of you in whatever subject, there's only one thing to question about, like what's a good choice, what's a bad choice. Obviously, it's not an easy question, but there's no arum and arum here. Is like, what's the right choice for you, and what's not the right choice for you is avodas Hashem. It's avodas Hashem. That's the name of that. The name of the chapter of avodas Hashem is called Bechira. It's called Bechira, and all
this
the
chapter. This chapter is Torah Lishma. I mean, he's saying the only way to avoid Hashem then is Torah Lishma.
That's
the
a choice.
Only way.
That's a choice, because what am I choosing? I'm choosing Lishma, meaning I'm choosing to live for Hashem.
I understand, but how is that the only way? Who lives Torah Lishma most of their life? Is that my goal, Torah Lishma? Or my goal is avoid Hashem.
What do you learn Torah for? Learn Torah Lishma.
Yeah, we've gone through that a bunch of times, but my lishma happens in seconds and moments and flashes. We're talking about somebody who lives a life of Torah lishma.
I'm saying that Torah lishma means, hear me out, the Torah lishma simply means that I'm making the right choices. I'm lishma. I'm l'shem Hashem. I'm not l'shem my comfort.
Nothing to do with learning.
No, Torah mitzvah lishma. Meaning, of course, learning is the right choice. But that's not the point. The point is that lishma, the word lishma means, and here we'll develop it today, there's one drop more. Lishma means I'm choosing correctly, right? Meaning I can do something l'shem Hashem, or I can do something l'shem what's good for me right now.
It's 10 o'clock.
Which is to sleep or to steal or to whatever it is that I'm doing. Be lishma. This was the whole godless of Moshe Rabbeinu. He was Ana Mikol Adam, did everything lishma.
Is that what the Nefesh HaChaim is teaching, to be lishma, not to learn lishma? I've been hearing this whole Torah lishma is really talking about learning as opposed to being.
So expand ourselves here. And expanding ourselves means that learning, of course, is the Shem Hashem, and learning, of course, is the Malchus of Hashem, because if you don't know the Ratzon Hashem, what are we doing? And it's connecting to Hashem. But the idea here of lishma is that I'm living a life where I'm choosing maturely and correctly, and I'm using my time maturely and correctly, and I'm using my talents. That's the okay. To be continued. I wanted to announce that for those of you that are interested, that on Motzei Shabbos, I'm giving a shiur at this very same bat station at 8:45 p.m. Motzei Shabbos to the women. not that I mind if any men come, but as a shiur for the women, on Hilchos Purim, very special year that we're in now, right? And it's a very special Purim on Friday, and some of the attitudes of Purim. So you could come, you could tell your wives, tell your daughters at 8:45 on Zoom. Let's say Shabbos. And I wish everybody a good Chodesh. Tonight is Rosh Chodesh, and I said at the beginning before all you guys came on how happy I am about Adar, which I'm not such a big tzaddik that I'm so happy about Adar all the time. I wish I was. But what I'm feeling is that, the energy of Adar is it's a turnaround month in the Hapachu. And just have this regesh that we can pull off a real turnaround month. And, from last Purim to this Purim, been a dark year in many, many ways. And we lost many, many good people that it's hard to even think about. But to turn around, the Mishnichnas Adar Marvin B'Simcha is not just like it's good luck and we can be happy because it's Adar. It's that we can turn things around. And we should be zoche to a turnaround month of Adar and a month of Simcha, so a good Chodesh and a good Shabbos.
Good Chodesh.
Good Chodesh, good Shabbos.
Good Chodesh,
Thank you,
good
Rabbi.
Shabbos.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Rabbi, could somebody post this year so we can make reminders and send it out, please?
Which shiur? The Saturday night shiur, you mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's who's here online? Dan, are you still here?
Yeah,
We're still recording, by the way.
Yeah. So no, that's okay. The edition, that little flyer that we made about the Saturday night shiur, can you put it onto the Nefesh HaChaim WhatsApp group?
Yeah, I'll put it on right now.
Okay. Yeah, and then we can forward it, etc.
Yeah, you can forward it to wherever you like. Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Have a
Rabbi.
wonderful Shabbos.
Chodesh Tov, everybody.
Chodesh Tov and Vorach.